looking at what happened with Germany. So I did a Fulbright fellowship in Germany. So I love Germany. I love the people. I love the culture. But I personally think that what's happening with the Germans is that they're kowtowing to Putin regarding the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And I think it's
Agreed.
unconscionable. This pipeline is going to hurt the Ukrainian people, but it's going to help Putin. And Ukraine is desperate to strengthen their pro-democracy ties. And Germany is kicking them under the bus. But the problem is that Joe Biden is doing nothing to help the Ukrainians. He has withheld his opposition, and both Barack Obama and Donald Trump put sanctions on the Russians for Nord Stream 2. So Biden is actually the aberration from a bipartisan agreement about this. And so to me, it almost seems that uh, first, Germans are total hypocrites. They love to claim that they're so holy and self-righteous in the conscience of the world, but they refuse to pony up their necessary spending for NATO, which is a big deterrent to Russia. But then, my question domestically for you is, with Joe Biden, why isn't he doing more to push back against the Germans? And why isn't he doing more to help the Ukrainians with this? Because this has the potential to collapse the entire Ukrainian economy and spike the oil prices or gas prices, fuel prices for the Ukrainian people. So is it actually that Joe Biden is the one who's colluding with the Russians here?
Well, let me take a step back and say a couple things. First of all, the Germans were incredibly irresponsible in the sense that because of the accident in Japan, the nuclear accident, they got rid of all their nuclear power. And then replaced it with coal burning power plants, which is really bad. And this is another example, again, as I've said, as someone who really believes in climate change, who thinks the carbon problem is very real. My worst nightmare of states, countries rushing too quickly to adapt and not having a transition plan. Like a lot of these liberals say, oh, well, I'm pro climate change, but I'm against fracking and I'm against nuclear energy. You have to have a transition plan. And this is a classic example of a country being caught between a rock and a hard place. They just don't have the energy. So they need the gas. And so that's point number one. But point number two is that when you look at what's going on, I agree. The Nord Stream pipeline, I'm surprised that Biden didn't come up and oppose it. I think he was probably told by the Germans, look, we really need this. Just please don't do it. So he probably acquiesced to Merkel as one of her last requests before she left office. But I think it's bad. And I think, again, we can't do anything to straighten Putin's hand. On the Ukrainian thing, it does seem like the message has gotten through to Putin. I think this is just posturing, because the ramifications, if Putin really did invade Ukraine, would be terrible for him, because they're far more well armed. And that's where Biden, he was slow, but they have armed Ukraine. They're better to defend themselves. They're prepared. Plus, it would extend Russia thin. It would further marginalize them from the world economy and maybe cut off, they wouldn't get just more sanctions from the US, but they would get cut off from the rest of the world. So I think, again, it's like Iran with a nuclear weapon. I don't think they really want it. I think they're just trying to get the leverage that pursuing it will get them. So, but I agree. I think that, this is something we need to be stronger. We need to stand up for our allies. We basically said, we made a deal with Ukraine, right? We said, if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we will defend you. And frankly, we've dropped the ball. We didn't defend them after the Sochi Olympics when they annexed Crimea. And so it's been going on for 3 administrations. So I think we're kind of on agreement in this one.